Ndị be anyị ekeneni m unu n'ụbọchị nke taa. Anyị sị na ya dịrị ndị Igbo na mma. Dịka o si dị, ihe a bụ Igbo Media ka anyị si wee na-ewetara unu ya bụ nnukwu ozi dị oke mkpa gbasịta maka ana Igbo and Igbo community and ihe debe na Nigeria. Ya bụ ife ka anyị na-ewetara unu na Igbo Media. Dịka isi wee na-esole anyị, ọ bụ na nke a bụ ụbọchị izizi gị ị na-abịa n'ilu akwụkwọ na Igbo Media, kabaru ka subscribe and turn on your notification ka ị lapụ miss any of our update dịka anyị na-etikwu ya n'ilu akwụkwọ kwa mgbe. Dịka o si dị, o nwere ya wetara n'ụbọchị nke taa gbasịta maka ka ya bụ ife si ada and gbasịta maka ka ya bụ ife si akpọtụ n'ala Igbo. Biko mma achọ ka ige ya bụ ife. Ihe a bụ Biafran Prime Minister MAZI Simon Ekpa. O nwere ife okwu n'ilu akwụkwọ mma achọ ka unu ga-esi ya bụ ife ọ na-adọrọpụrụ anyị ifu nche n'ilu akwụkwọ gbasịta maka ihe ndị a niile okwu. All right, over to you, sir.
We have a lot of things in the pipeline, and so Nigerian government needs to be more nervous in the coming months. Now, when it comes to the issue of Eritrea, there was a little bit more awareness than the Biafra issue. Not a lot more, but a little bit more. But here is the problem, and I'm going to be very frank. And again, I'm going to go into how we've been so successful in terms of the transitional government. The main issue that the U.S. government has had, or opponents of Isaias Afwerki have had in the U.S. government, is there was always the expectation that the Eritrean opposition, quote unquote, would at some point reach out to the U.S. government and work with them in order to remove Isaias Afwerki. And over time, the U.S. government became very surprised, and we've had private conversations. I've had many conversations. They just became surprised after 10 years, 20 years, 30 years in terms of why is the Eritrean opposition not meeting with us? Why are they not reaching out to us? Why are they not coming to us to work out a strategic plan on how to get rid of Isaias Afwerki? Why are they seemingly talking endlessly amongst themselves, talk, and more talk, and no action? So over time, people in the U.S. government became more and more disgruntled with the Eritrean opposition to the point where it seemed like, okay, these people are never going to get their act together. Now, that's why I think there was an openness within our government, frankly, to look at some other alternative in terms of saying, well, if the Eritrean opposition is incapable of organizing themselves, maybe we can play a role in helping organize them if they can't get their act together. And, President Badarai emerged on the scene. He created the government in exile. It was a perfect match. I connected with President Badarai. We developed a close relationship, a close friendship. And we decided to put all of our force here in Washington behind President Badarai, to support him as now the transitional president of Eritrea, to have a rival government to the dictatorship led by Isaias Afwerki. And it's been an enormous success. Now, I understand that this has created a little bit of controversy. Of course, the Isaias Afwerki is freaking out. He's having his government put out press releases attacking us, attacking President Badarai, because they're scared. They've never seen an opposition leader being so effective. Isaias Afwerki has just been used to opposition leaders defeating themselves. So he never had to worry. Now he sees someone who's effective and has the support of the U.S. government, and they're completely losing it. But you also have some people, some of our dear friends in the opposition who are frankly a little bit jealous of President Badarai, a little bit complaining as to why is he the leader? Why are we not the leaders? And why are we, not having an input in electing the government in exile? We should be involved in choosing the president in exile and, this and that. And, my response to that, to those people would be, you have 30 years to get your act together. The U.S. government was waiting for you to come to them, to work with them, to get rid of Isaias Afwerki. You failed to do that. So if you have anyone to blame, you should blame yourselves for not having your act together. If the Eritrean opposition got its act together earlier, I don't think there would be a need for the government in exile, or there would be a need for the U.S. government to be invested in the government in exile. This is being done because the Eritrean opposition has failed the past 30 years. I'm just being very honest about it. And I think people in the opposition need to hear this tough medicine. Enough with the nice talk. They need to hear the truth that they failed. And that's why people in Washington, like myself, that's why people in the U.S. government are getting behind President Badarai. if they're upset about that, they need to get their act together. And we could look at, what we could do with them once they get themselves together. So I just want to put that out there in a very open and honest way. With President Badrai, we've seen the success. It's public. We're not hiding anything. We saw the meeting with Congressman Sherman, which he tweeted about. We saw the meeting with Ambassador Tibor Nagy, former Assistant Secretary for African Affairs under Trump, and former U.S. Ambassador to Ethiopia. He tweeted about it. And this is just a little bit. We've had many other meetings. Congresswoman Betty McCollum, other members of Congress. We've had a lot of momentum, and this is just the beginning. You're going to see more and more support coming from the U.S. government. I think eventually what's going to happen, especially as the Horn of Africa becomes more unstable, is we already have many people in the government who view President Badrai as the legitimate president, not Isaias Afwerki. I think once the Horn of Africa moves towards a conflagration, and we see what's happening with Somalia, Somaliland, Ethiopia, the Horn of Africa is a powder keg waiting to explode. But I think, once we get to that point, we're going to push for a more formal recognition by the U.S. government of President Badrai's government. I think the best analogy would be, in this case, for a period of time under the Trump administration, the U.S. government recognized Juan Guaido as the legitimate leader of Venezuela over the Maduro government. So similarly, I think we're going to move in that direction where at some point the U.S. government's going to more formally proclaim that President Badrai is the legitimate leader of Eritrea and not Isaias Afwerki. And again, if there are people in the Eritrean opposition who are upset about this, they should blame themselves because the U.S. government has been chomping at the bit, eager to work with them, and they've never showed up to Washington, D.C. So again, I would say to members of the opposition, either get in line, get it behind President Badrai because the train is leaving the station. So either support us or stay on the sidelines. What they should not do is try to be bitter about this and make complaints about, why they're not, leading this and why President Badrai is leading this. They should not be doing that. Either they should be supporting us, and a lot of groups are consolidating around President Badrai, or they should be on the sidelines, but they should not be complaining. So, that's the context where we put Biafra on the map. Enormous success. December 2nd is going to be the redeclaration of the Biafran state. We're going to get, all the support here in Washington for that. Nigeria is going to be toast, if not formally, but then at least de facto. And similarly with the Eritrean transitional government, we're moving towards a more formal recognition of President Badrai as the legitimate leader of Eritrea and over Isaias Afwerki. And then, when that happens, we'll decide, what to do from there. So, I just want to give you the overview, and I want to speak very frankly, because I think the time now is to have frank discussions, not to, play around the edges. And so I just want to put everything on the table for you, and I hope this was helpful.
Thank you. Thank you for all of that. My next question is going to be, I'm sorry, I have to go back to this screen. Okay. Are there any peaceful solutions on the horizon or political dialogue for independence, or do you believe it can only be solved by armed conflicts? If armed struggle is the solution, what sort of preparations are on the way? This, Mr.
I think he's asking Prime Minister Simon.
Yes, Prime Minister.
All right, thank you very much for that question. What we're doing now is that, of course, we are open for, peaceful dialogue and all that. As a matter of fact, we are the peaceful one. The Nigerian state is the violent one. And of course, we've actually learned from what happened to others, both in Nigeria and elsewhere in Africa. Africa leaders are the most corrupt, selfish leader you can see anywhere in the world. So they don't actually believe in dialogue and peaceful discussion. So we've seen in Biafra land where peaceful agitators are getting killed, where people who just carry flags to demonstrate on the street are getting shot, straight bullet, killed, massacred in their cold blood. And this has happened from 1999, since the resurgence of the Biafra agitation under Mossab, under the IPOB, Nigeria, where people believe that we're fighting for freedom, only to go to the street, get killed, and they use their pictures and videos to share on the social media. Nigeria is killing us, Nigeria is killing us. I was sitting and watching those things as one Nigerianist that I was. So when I know that Nigeria, it can never ever get better, and I said, instead of wasting my time trying to wait for somebody to come and revive a faulty foundation that I know how rotten it is better that I use everything I have, both my intelligence, my profession, my experience, to support the liberation of Biafra. I joined the struggle. So when I joined the struggle, one of the things I did and promised myself and my God is that under my watch, Nigeria will no longer kill any Biafran and enjoy the killing. So what did we do differently? What we did differently is that in as much as we believe in peaceful agitation and then also, ready for dialogue, so this whole thing can be resolved amicably in a more democratic way, Nigeria are the one bringing violence against our people, killing them for asking for freedom. So we decided to raise our defense forces, and defense forces will be defending our land against the terrorists in uniform, while we will continue to push to the outside world, to the West, to America, in a more diplomatic, more refined, and more, a political way. So we believe in those approaches, and because of the way Nigeria is and the kind of mentality which is kill, 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 and we understand them very well. And the people that are ruling Nigeria are nomadic people. They are not Nigerians. They are not originally from Nigeria area. The president himself is not a Nigerian. I don't know whether you people are aware of that. He's not originally from Nigeria. The vice president is not originally from Nigeria. So these are people who do not believe in human dignity and the right to life. And of course, we always love human beings. We protect them. We protect women. We protect children. So what I did under my government was that I will provide that security that Nigeria never provided for people. I will make sure that those who support the Biafra government, and whenever they get killed, Nigeria will pay their defense. So we started our self-defense by raising the Biafra Liberation Army, the Biafra Resistance Fighters, and the Biafra Navy. And today, they are engaging Nigeria terrorists whenever they come to kill, as usual. So this is why it looks as if there is a violent way to our freedom. We are not the one bringing violence, but Nigeria state do it. So whenever they see that they cannot overpower us anymore, they start running around and complaining that we are violent. How are we violent? Were we the one who went to the streets to butcher and kill people that are carrying flags? Nigeria is not only violent to Biafrans. They are even violent to those who believe in Nigeria. You see them killing people for protesting for bad governance. You see them killing those who protested for criminals in the NSAS protest, when they are protesting against the terrorist SAS officials. They get killed and they cover them. At the end of the day, over 1,000 persons were secretly buried in Lagos. So Nigeria state is a terrorist state. Using violent states on them is just to give them some kind of accolade. They are terrorist state, and so anybody supporting Nigeria is actually aiding terrorism. And that's why we are ready to ourselves. And so it looks as if there are people who are violent or violent agitators. There is no violent agitator. All we do is to defend ourselves to make sure that Nigeria will never have a field day killing Biafrans again. If you check the past, from 2016 to 2017 to 18, they killed and massacred Biafrans in the field of Biafra, and nobody has been held responsible. This is the reason it looks as if we are towing the pathway of violence, And of course, we respond when a government is bringing violence. You do not fold your arms. You will respond with violence. And of course, you need to even have a superior power to be able to withstand the kind of barbarism from the Nigeria state. And that's what Biafra have done very, very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister, Mr. Simon. And this historical and joint interview, this historical and joint interview with the Eritrean government in exile is a milestone in our fight for freedom for the two movements, freedom for Biafra from Nigeria and also for the government of Eritrea in exile and government of Eritrea in exile and of Eritrea inside the dictatorial regime in Eritrea. Can you tell us what do you have in common, both these sisterly governments in exile and the struggle for independence and the struggle for free Eritrean people from the tyrant administration in Asmara?
Thank you, Mr. KHA. And again, thank you, Prime Minister Simon. And I would like also to commend Mr. Elias being straightforward in this 21st century.
Right.
We don't have anything to hide. When you're fighting for freedom, there is nothing to hide.
Yes, everything on the table, Mr. President.
Pardon me?
Everything on the table.
Yes, it should be on the table. Only a tyrant will have something to hide, but we have to be upfront because we're fighting for freedom. So we shouldn't have anything to be worried about by telling it like it is. On that previous question you gave to the Prime Minister Simon, if there is a peaceful political dialogue, but with this dictatorship and the tyrants, the oppressors, they don't have any vocabulary that says peace. In our case, it looked like it's too late. It became to the point of no return. I don't think they would listen to that aspect. If there is a way, even today, after all this damage that has happened in my nation, Eritrea, if there is anything to be dialogue, if there is a peaceful way to exit, in order to reach or achieve our freedom, we want to do it with the minimum damage. We don't want any further bloodshed. We don't want to create a humongous military in order to battle the existing military. For God's sake, those military that are inside Eritrea is the people's military. They are not a private military. They belong to the nation. If I would remind each and every one of you, as you graduated from Sawa, you have a pledge you gave. And that says, yes, as a military, I will protect my nation and my people from external and internal enemies. Repeating, from external and internal enemies. So, I still want to remind you, the biggest enemy is the internal one that is looming and causing all this harm among each of us. As we know, he lives in our differences. So we have to minimize our differences in order to know and identify and target the enemy. Coming back to your question though, what do we have in common? Well, injustice in one place is injustice everywhere. If we are claiming we've been unjustly treated, the same goes for the Biafran people. By the same token, something that we have in common also, the Biafrans are also indigenous people. So do we have 4 different indigenous people in Eritrea? That has been recognized through the United Nations. I think they deserve their freedom, their human right intact. I think they should be treated even well known throughout the world. But because of that indigenous movement for all of us. I think we have a big thing in common. Again, even coming as a prowess for democracy, we both governments are working to restore democracy. And I think this is the biggest binding point we have in order to work together. The minute we met through the Office of Moral Strategies, we decided, yes, in order to elevate each other, yes, we can work together. Yes, our causes are just. Yes, our causes are righteous for our people. Therefore, yes, there is a lot in common for us to work. And I think it is not about if, but when. Yes, we will prevail, and our people, both sides, should be free. With that, I will yield my platform to you, Mr. KJ.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Bahadurai, Mr. G. Mr. Elias, can you give us looking forward and in the future what we can be achieved or expected from the modern strategies in cooperation for these two governments?
Ndị be anyị daalụ nne nnukwu unu si wee na-esoro anyị na Igbo Media dịka unu si na-esoro anyị si na Chukwu oke abịa mapụrụ mmiri na ya gosi niile n'ofu n'ofu otu anyị kwuru otu akọ ya dịrịrị ise 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 ekebakwa alụ ka itinye alụ nke gị na ihe niile na gbasara maka ihe Biafran Prime Minister kwugasị n'elu akwụkwọ ana ndị ọzọ dị iche iche kabarụ ka itinye alụ nke gị ife icherụ n'ụdị nke gị gbasara maka ya bụ ife dịka anyị nọkwa na-echekwa olileanya na Maazị Nnamdi Kanu ya pụta oge na-adịghị anya na n'ụlọ mkpọrọ anyị sị na Chukwu oke abịa ma ga-enye ya ike nọnyere ya chekwaba ya mana anyị kwuru otu aka ọ ya dịrịrị ise ise ise. Thank you and also stay tuned at Eastern News 24 ka emesịa nụ ndị be anyị.